NASA's live stream went silent. What they saw changes everything. It was supposed to be just another sky scan, a deep space telescope quietly sweeping the stars from its post above the Pacific. Scientists monitored the data like they always do. Then something showed up, an object, fast, strange, close. Seconds later, NASA's live stream went dark. No announcement, no error message, just silence. And not long after, the footage vanished, gone from servers, archives, backups, as if it had never existed. Then came a voice we trust. Physicist Brian Cox stepped forward. His words were clear and chilling. This might rewrite everything we thought we knew about deep space. The object was later named Oumuamua, a reference to the mysterious interstellar visitor Oumuamua seen in 2017. But this one didn't just fly by, it stopped, it turned, it sent a signal made of prime numbers, the kind of code intelligent civilizations might use to say, "We're here." Then something even stranger happened. The Voyager probe, launched in the 1970s, not built to receive or send messages like this, responded. It sent a return signal, encrypted, organized, not noise. This isn't science fiction, it's happening. Cox isn't calling this contact, he's calling it something else, judgment. If you're reading this, you're part of the story now. So what makes Oumuamua different? Let's break it down. The object didn't act like a comet or asteroid. At first it looked similar, long, narrow, spinning slowly. But then came the anomaly. It changed direction. It slowed down. It stopped. Right there in space. That doesn't happen naturally. No visible engines, no tail, no outgassing. Just movement, intentional movement. Cox called it non-ballistic motion, the kind of movement that only happens when something is being steered. NASA's deep space antennas picked up micro-vibrations from the object. Rhythmic, not random, possibly some form of internal system running. Alongside those vibrations came odd heat patterns, not from the sun. They pulsed, suggesting the object might be regulating its temperature, maybe even hiding. And this wasn't just quiet, it was controlled, clean, purposeful. This wasn't a chunk of rock, this was a message. And then, like a switch was flipped, NASA shut everything down, no data, no explanations. Observatories stopped updating logs, servers went offline. That's when people really started to ask, what are we not being told? A pattern is emerging. This isn't the first anomaly, but it's the first that feels like a response. Signals have been dismissed before. Glitches, solar noise. But now, with this object parked in geosynchronous orbit, hovering silently above Earth, something feels different. Not passing by, not moving on, staying, and maybe watching. Brian Cox says we've crossed a line, not of discovery, but of recognition. The sky hasn't changed. The stars are still where they've always been. But the silence now? It feels like someone or something is listening. And we just triggered a reply. It might follow rules, just not ours. Maybe it's not breaking the laws of physics. Maybe it's following rules we simply haven't discovered yet. But just as the mystery deepened, something else happened. Right before NASA cut the feed. A pattern, not static, not interference. Pulses, timed, measured, deliberate. Light signals, beamed from Oumuamua straight toward Earth's atmosphere. At first they looked like random flickers, maybe sunlight bouncing off its surface. But then a sequence emerged. 1, 3, 5, 7, 11. Prime numbers. In the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, this is huge. Prime numbers are seen as the universal language, patterns any intelligent life form would recognize. Math doesn't change across galaxies. Carl Sagan once said, if we ever received a message from beyond, it would start with primes. And just before everything went black, that's exactly what Earth received. A message in the silence. What's more, it wasn't just one telescope that caught it. Independent observatories in Chile and South Africa reported the same thing. A beam of light aimed not at deep space, but at us. Instruments detected electromagnetic pulses. Magnetometers picked up vibrations in Earth's upper atmosphere. No damage, no threat, just presence. It felt less like contact and more like a ping. A test, a handshake, and then silence. Right as the pulse reached Earth, the live stream crashed. Not gradually, instantly. The footage vanished, servers wiped, access restricted. It was as if someone didn't want the world to see what came next. An unnamed researcher later admitted, "It's not what we saw that unnerved us. It's what we felt. It felt deliberate." A familiar shape from the past. If Oumuamua seems familiar, there's a reason. Back in 2017, scientists tracking the skies from Hawaii spotted something equally strange. They named it Oumuamua, Hawaiian for a messenger from afar arriving first. It wasn't from our solar system. It moved fast, spun oddly, and reflected light in unnatural ways. Even more bizarre, it accelerated on its own. No gravity assist, no collision, just motion, like something was guiding it. Harvard's Avi Loeb stunned the scientific world when he proposed it could be a light sail, a kind of alien technology using solar radiation to steer. But before it could be studied further, Oumuamua was gone, out of range and out of reach. But this time, it stayed. Oumuamua. Mua is eerily similar. Same shape, same spin, same enigma. But unlike Oumuamua, this one didn't fly past. It paused, it changed course, it looked back, and just before the signal, it pulsed light toward Earth in a mathematical rhythm. This isn't just a coincidence. Some believe Oumuamua isn't a visitor at all, but something more subtle, a probe, a sensor, a watcher. Maybe it was waiting for something, some condition to be met. Maybe we just triggered it. Brian Cox has a new theory. Now leading physicists like Brian Cox are hinting at a new possibility. This might not be first contact. It might be first reaction, not a ship, not a threat, a test. And if we just passed it, what happens next? Are we being watched? It might not be sending messages. It might not even be moving. According to physicist Brian Cox, it could be doing something far more profound, listening, watching, waiting. In his words, we may have triggered an interstellar tripwire. Imagine this. What if highly advanced civilizations placed silent devices across space, not to visit or talk, but to observe, like cosmic sentinels that stay dormant until a certain kind of intelligence notices them? Not ships, not probes, sensors. And what if the moment we noticed Oumuamua, it noticed us back? This might not be first contact. This might be the first acknowledgement. Some scientists believe we're not being ignored, we're being evaluated. Oumuamua might be part of a vast passive network designed to monitor developing civilizations. It doesn't come to us, it waits for us to come to it. And when we do, that's when the test begins. This theory ties into the famous Fermi paradox. If the universe is full of life, where is everyone? Maybe they've been here the whole time, just quiet. Until now. The trigger. Observation. The most unsettling part? It only reacted once we started watching it too closely. And what happened next shocked everyone. Right after scientists identified its unusual behavior, the object pulsed light directly toward Earth, a coded signal. Not an attack, not noise, but something structured. That wasn't the end, because shortly after, on April 7th, Earth itself responded. Earth's magnetic field glitched. On that day, something rippled through our planet's magnetic field. Not a flare, not solar interference. A short, sharp burst, just 0.72 seconds long, that registered worldwide. Every single magnetometer across the globe picked it up at the exact same time. Scientists at CERN described it as the cleanest anomaly we've ever recorded. It wasn't natural, it wasn't chaotic. It had structure, rhythm, and a kind of hidden geometry. Almost like it was intentional. Voyager 1 felt it too, and then something even stranger happened. Voyager 1, drifting at the far edge of our solar system, nearly 14 billion miles away, also picked up the pulse. Not as an echo, not as a bounce, as if it heard the same thing Earth did. And then it responded. It sent a ping, a data burst completely outside of its normal programming. No one expected it, no one understands it. But one thing is clear, whatever we saw out there saw us too. And now everything is different. Voyager just spoke, but not in our voice. NASA engineers were stunned. The signal didn't come from Voyager's systems. It was like something or someone used it like a walkie-talkie. Let that sink in. A pulse from Earth echoed 14 billion miles away. Voyager 1, drifting in deep space since 1977, suddenly responded with a message no one expected and no one understands. This wasn't just strange, it changed the game. Because if that connection was real, we're no longer dealing with isolated events. We're looking at something bigger, a network, a system, maybe even a test, sensor, signal, response. A researcher at CERN summed it up best. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's a hidden communication layer, and it just turned on. So the question now is this: what did Voyager actually send? And who or what was listening? Because the answer might reveal if we've just received a message or a warning. Voyager wasn't built. For this launched over 45 years ago, Voyager 1 was designed for one-way science. Its instruments can't detect Earth's magnetic field. They weren't meant to respond to signals like the April 7th anomaly, but right after that global magnetic pulse, Voyager sent something back. NASA picked up a clear transmission through the Deep Space Network. But this wasn't routine telemetry. It was a custom signal, using a protocol Voyager was never programmed with. A whisper from the edge of space. Someone inside JPL, Jet Propulsion Lab, reportedly said, it felt like the probe had been softly taken over. The message included a structured data packet, encrypted, complex, and clearly not noise. Inside it were strange but familiar patterns, prime number sequences, logarithmic spirals, binary waveforms, not a spoken language, but definitely designed, intelligently, like a compressed file, meant to be unlocked, not just read. Then NASA went silent. As soon as that signal came through, Voyager's public dashboard went dark. Access was restricted, logs were sealed, researchers were told to stop digging. One team member even admitted, we were told not to ask questions, and definitely not to decode it. Just like that, humanity's most distant machine became something else, not a probe, a relay point. But for what exactly? That's the question that now keeps scientists and maybe even world governments awake at night. Because if something used Voyager to reply, that means it was listening, and if it's listening, it might already be answering. What else is out there, waiting? If one hidden object just activated, how many more are already out there, silent and watching? That's the question no one wanted to ask, until now. Oumuamua might not be alone. It could be just one piece of something far bigger. A quiet system scattered across space, unnoticed until now. When Voyager sent back that impossible signal, it didn't spark celebration inside NASA. It triggered something else entirely. Lockdown. Dashboards went dark. Access to public systems vanished. Even internal data started disappearing. The Deep Space Network, a tool used by scientists worldwide to monitor signals from space, suddenly went into maintenance mode. But no one bought that excuse. Then came the leak. A memo quietly slipped out of Jet Propulsion Lab. It revealed what many had feared. Oumuamua's updated flight path had been classified. Not temporarily hidden. Not under scientific review. Classified. That's extremely rare. Even military satellites have partial public data. But this was something else. A mysterious object from deep space, now locked behind walls of secrecy. No official statements, no press conferences, just silence. The sky started acting strange. As NASA pulled back, amateur astronomers tried to fill the gap. Some aimed home telescopes, others tapped university equipment. But one by one they began reporting bizarre issues. Equipment glitches, lens warping, sudden thermal interference. One observer in Chile wrote, "My scope overheats every time I point it at those coordinates. Never seen that before." Another in Finland lost power only while trying to track the object, not dangerous, just disruptive, as if something didn't want them looking. Brian Cox spoke up, carefully. On a BBC Science panel, Cox warned, "Science depends on transparency. When visibility starts disappearing, that's when you know something bigger is happening." He wasn't alarmist, but he wasn't casual either. It was clear, behind the scenes, something had shifted. And for the first time in a long time, scientists weren't being allowed to explain what they were seeing. A bigger pattern emerges. So what if Oumuamua isn't a one-off anomaly? What if it's part of a network? Not ships, not invaders, but observation nodes, planted across our solar system, hidden in plain sight. Some may be drifting in deep space. Others might be tucked into asteroid belts, riding comets, or parked near moons. Their job? To stay silent until triggered. The hidden network theory. It's a chilling new concept making waves among scientists, a web of dormant probes, seeded by an unknown intelligence. Each node sits quietly, scanning, listening, measuring. And when one gets noticed, like Oumuamua, it activates. This isn't science fiction, there are clues. In 1973, a Soviet probe near Venus picked up an unexplained magnetic hum. In 1989, Galileo flew past an asteroid that briefly changed its reflectivity. In 2003, Cassini recorded a split-second magnetic flip above Saturn, lasting only 0.7 seconds. All written off, all forgotten, but now they're being revisited under a new lens. Because what if those weren't random glitches? What if they were brief moments, when something ancient and hidden blinked awake? They're looking again, and finding clues. They missed those old anomalies? The ones buried in dusty archives? Scientists are digging them back up, and suddenly they're not looking so random. They might have been part of something bigger, something we weren't ready to see. What if they were tests? If a network like this exists, silent, widespread, and incredibly sensitive, then everything we thought we knew about, we're not just floating through a quiet cosmos, we're moving through a watched zone. Our solar system might not be our backyard, it might be more like a testing ground, and we might not be explorers, we might be the experiment. One physicist said it best, we didn't find it, we stumbled into it, and now we've tripped the alarm. And that alarm? It may already be sending signals. Oumuamua. Mua might have just been the tip of the system. The real question now isn't, when will we make contact? It's, what else is already active and how long has it been listening? Remember Voyager's mysterious response? It wasn't just a routine ping. It came with something unexpected. A data packet, encrypted and unfamiliar. NASA said nothing, but a small independent radio astronomy group in Finland managed to intercept the signal just before their equipment mysteriously went offline. What they found was stunning. This wasn't noise, it wasn't static, it was precision. The signal had structure, nested prime numbers, logarithmic spirals, binary, wavelet patterns. This wasn't just advanced math, it was intentional design. A kind of digital scaffolding built to protect whatever was inside, like a cosmic zip file. Some parts even mirrored quantum error correction, a field we're only just starting to understand. Whoever sent this knew exactly how we'd try to read it, and how to stop us from misinterpreting it. They know our logic. One analyst said, they're not just speaking our language, they're speaking our architecture. But what was missing? That's even stranger. There were no greetings, no alien symbols, no diagrams or directions, just the structure, built to hold a deeper message. It's like the signal was saying, yes, we're here, yes, we're intelligent, but no, we're not ready to show you everything. As one scientist put it, it's a handshake with a glove still on. So who sent it? Was it Oumuamua? Was it something else nearby? Or was it the network itself using Voyager as a tool? We don't know yet, but what we do know is this. The signal didn't just acknowledge us, it hinted at familiarity, as if we've been under quiet surveillance for a long time. Maybe we didn't discover them. Maybe they've always known we were here. And just now, decided to respond. But there's a darker possibility. As scientists began digging through old mission logs and space data from the 70s, 80s, and 2000s, they started noticing patterns. Events once dismissed as solar noise or hardware errors, they're starting to look like early signals, warnings, and maybe invitations we never realized we'd received. The signs were there all along, we just didn't see them. It may have started decades ago, but we weren't looking in the right places. In 1973, a Soviet mission, Venera 12, picked up a strange magnetic pulse while hidden behind Venus. It lasted under a second. Scientists blamed solar interference and moved on. But today, that exact pulse pattern echoes part of what we detected on April 7th. In 1989, NASA's Galileo spacecraft flew past an asteroid and watched its reflectivity shift abruptly, as if the surface itself changed the mid-flight. Another curiosity filed away and forgotten. Then, in 2003, Cassini recorded a sudden fleeting inversion of Saturn's magnetic poles, 0.7 seconds long. An instrument glitch, they said. But Oumuamua's pulse was 0.72 seconds. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe we've been seeing the same signal in disguise again and again for years. The pattern was hiding in plain sight. As physicist Brian Cox put it, when identical anomalies show up in different places across decades, it's not randomness, it's something we never bothered to look for. The unsettling truth? We weren't being ignored, we were being watched, tested. And now, something suggests we triggered the final switch, not with a transmission, but by finally noticing the pattern. Because what came next wasn't just strange, it was new. It wasn't a signal, it wasn't Voyager. It was Earth that moved. A shift in our planet's orbit was detected, subtle but real, as if something massive had adjusted itself nearby. And then the impossible happened. Oumuamua, thought to be drifting, locked itself into geosynchronous orbit. It stopped above the Earth's magnetic equator and stayed. No asteroid does that. No comet lingers silently in one place. Now, scientists are saying what they weren't allowed to before. This isn't contact, it's evaluation. We're not just being observed, we're being judged. If Oumuamua is part of a system, and that system is now awake, this might no longer be a scientific puzzle. It might be a test of whether we belong. Maybe the signal has already been sent. Maybe the decision is already being made. And what's most chilling? This isn't a first contact moment, it's a final review. Something above us isn't curious. It isn't reaching out, it's deciding. And the silence feels different. Now the sky looks the same, the stars haven't changed. But when you really stop and listen, you realize the quiet isn't empty, it's waiting. Still, silent, watching. Oumuamua remains in place, hovering in geosynchronous orbit, perfectly still. And now, subtle signs are surfacing from below. Monitoring stations in Brazil, Ghana, and Indonesia have detected unusual shifts in atmospheric pressure, brief vertical disturbances, narrowly focused, all aligned directly beneath where the object rests in the sky. What does it mean? No one knows for sure. But something seems to be passing between space and our atmosphere, in short bursts, then retreating. Is it observing? Sampling? Deploying? We don't have explanations, only speculation. And then came the silence. But not from the stars, from the people who used to explain them. Scientists have gone quiet. Live feeds have gone dark. Research projects suddenly paused without notice. It's not just space keeping secrets now, it's the ones who once searched it. Which raises the deeper question, what if Oumuamua isn't just an object, but a device, not a traveler, a sensor, not discovered by us, but watching us long before we noticed. Something changed from Voyager's strange transmission to the unexplained shift in Earth's magnetic field. Something feels different. Brian Cox said it best: we may have passed a threshold, and what lies beyond that point may not be curiosity, but judgment. The silence isn't empty, it's deliberate, measured, and maybe calculating. If this is a test, we may already be scored. Because the sky hasn't changed, but how it watches us might have. The quiet overhead now feels like an observation deck, and we're at the center. So stay aware, keep asking questions, don't look away. And remember, the most unsettling revelations don't begin with a sound. They begin when we finally look up.